We have two guests this morning. One of the moms, let's welcome her. We always like to see participation from the parents. And we have, who do we have here? Abraham Lincoln decided to be with us this morning. Who is he? Who was he? Yes. He was the president of what? The United States. Which one? Yes, and what was he famous for saying? Oh, many things, of course, yes, but one I'm looking for in particular, yes. Ooh, that was probably his most significant comment, yes. Oh, that's, well, I'm thinking of another one that you learned from Mr. Tocco. Yes. Yes, but you know what else he said? He said a person is just about as happy as they set their mind to be, which simply means that we set the stage for our lives based on our own thinking. And so that brings me to this very important question this morning. How do you feel? Terrific! Come on, this is your life with feeling. How do you feel? Terrific! Woo! Remember, it is, whose decision is it? To feel good or to feel crummy? Yes. Yeah, it's your decision. Because it's your decision because you get to use the single greatest power you possess, which is the power to choose. Oh, yes, indeed, absolutely. And the only way that we can make intelligent, wise choices if we use our number one ability, which is the ability to think. Yes, it is. You guys are red hot this morning. I can see it. Now, Mr. Tocco's number one reason for being with you these 5 weeks is to encourage you today and always to seek what the Greeks call arete, which means to become the best possible you compared to no one else. Remember that. Remember that every day. Remember that when you watch TV and you watch the movies and you look at magazines and you hear other people talking. Learn from other people, be inspired by other people, but do not try to be like them. Be yourself. Be your best possible self. Let's you and I, from this day forward, work toward discovering our talents, our own skills, and developing those abilities. Now, last week we had the opportunity to think about our future. And the way we were going to think about our future is to set, and what's the word? Goals. We're going to set some goals. We're going to set some goals. Who will tell me what a goal is? What is a goal? What's the definition of a goal? Yes? Kind of like your target to get to somewhere? Yes, it is. It's a target. It's something to shoot at. And remember we used the illustration of a basketball player, Grant Hill, driving down the court with a basketball, going up to make the shot, and what was gone? The goal was gone. The basket was gone. Could he possibly, no matter how great he is, no matter how good anybody is at anything, could they possibly hit the target if the target no longer exists? No. So your goals are your future targets. And who's the most important person to keep you on track? The teachers? Your moms or dads? Who's going to keep you on track toward your goals? Everybody? Yourself. Yes, absolutely. Now, what are the four different areas? What are the four different areas that we set aside that you can set goals in? Who will tell us very quickly? Give me one. Yes. School. In school, yes. Health. In the area of health. Home, what else? Friends. Friendships. Now, who set goals in the area of school? Almost everybody? Whoa! You guys were really busy this last week doing your, what were you doing? You were doing your home opportunities. Your home opportunities. Yes, your home opportunities. Now, I'd like you to think about one goal that you have set for yourself in school. When you have what that is, when you have one in mind, raise your hand. I want to know one goal that you've set in school. Yes? Get better grades. To get better grades. Okay, now, what are some of the ways that he can get better grades quickly? What are some ways? Yes?
By improving his work.
By improving his work. What else? By studying harder. Participating in class. What else can he do?
By listening.
Ooh, listening, by listening carefully. We've all noticed by now, and I think Mr. Tocco mentioned this one other time, that God gave us 2 ears. Have we noticed that? And 1 mouth. Maybe he was trying to say we should use them proportionately. What else can he do to get better grades? Yes? Pay attention. Pay attention. A very small investment, isn't it? Paying attention. Yes? Follow directions. Very good. What else? More effort. Whew, yeah. All that just to get better grades. And imagine, though, however, since learning is a lifetime experience and school is never really out for the achiever, imagine how significant that will be for him if he gets better grades. How will he feel if he gets better grades? Yes? Terrific. How else will he feel? Proud. What else? Anything else? Yes? Great. Anything else? How else will he feel? Yes? Happy. Sure. What else? Excited, yes. What else? You're going to say the same thing. Going to feel good. It's going to feel real good. And you see, when you set a goal and you hit the target, you feel good, and it also opens up the doors for other possibilities because you say to yourself, I did that. I can do this thing. I did it once. I can do it again. Because you are becoming a more, what kind of person? Positive or negative? Yes. A more positive person. Because what does a positive person say when they are given a challenge, when they're given an opportunity, when they're given an obstacle? Together they say, I can, I want to, and I will. Man, if you put that kind of attitude, that kind of energy toward all of your goals, why, you're going to accomplish all of them. Oh, it is so exciting. Now, since it is your choice, and it is your life, there are going to be some times where we're going to really have to make some really tough, let's not let you see all the words, let's see if you remember by heart. The best way to make an intelligent decision is using, everybody together, the and the statement of wisdom is, everybody together, thought, which is followed by a word that leads to an action, habit, which results in it. Fantastic. Give yourself some appreciation this morning. Wow. Mr. Lincoln, if he were here, would be very, very proud of you, as I am, and I'm sure your teachers are and your parents. We're talking about making very important decisions, and we were talking also about last week's goals that you set. Now let's take the area of health for just a moment. In the area of health, who set a goal in the area of health? Okay, what was your goal? Excellent, okay. That's one of the things, that's one of the steps that you'll have to take to achieve a goal. I'm looking for an even more specific goal. What is the total objective and goal that you are setting out to accomplish? Yes. There you go, have excellent health. How many, under the area of health, as a goal, have to have excellent health? Well, that's a wonderful goal. That's a wonderful goal. Because we'll live a much more vital, a longer, and more dynamic life if we have excellent health. Now, what's one of the things that can detour? What's one of the things that can cause us not to achieve a goal like that? There's some things we should do. And I'm going to ask you to share with me some of the things that you are going to do to achieve excellent health. There are also some things that you shouldn't do. What's one of the things you should never do? Take drugs. What else?
Don't smoke.
Don't smoke. Anything else? Don't eat lots of candy. That's right. What else? Don't drink. Very good. You're talking about drink what specifically? Excellent. Excellent. Very good. We want to be specific. Okay, yes.
Staying fit.
Staying fit. Very good. What else?
Don't take marijuana.
Don't take marijuana. Yes.
Don't hurt yourself on purpose.
Exactly right. Very good, honey. Yes. What else?
Fight violence. Don't be a part of it.
That's right. Fight violence. Don't be a part of it. I tell you guys, great ideas. Absolutely great ideas. I wish that young people across America could be tuned in right now on some type of satellite to be watching you and listening to you, because you would be doing a great job of teaching them. Who knows, maybe that'll happen. So, there are certain things we should not do. And what do we say when someone offers us drugs, tobacco, alcohol? What do we say? Everybody together?
No, thank you.
And then what do we do?
Don't tell a parent or an adult.
That's right. Tell a parent or an adult or a teacher. Turn the person in. You guys got it down to a science. It's going to happen, and you're going to have a chance. You're going to have one shot at it. You have one shot to go and make it happen. Do your part. Takes courage. Next, we're going to talk about the importance of taking courageous action. But today, we're talking about, what are we doing right now? What's the process we are performing right now? Yes, in the back. Yes, we are reviewing. We are reviewing to make sure that you have got all the important information. It looks like, to me, that you have. Let's use the statement of wisdom. Let's use this matrix today for something, for one of your goals. What could we use it for today? Let's put our thinking caps on for making an important decision as it relates to your goals, one of your goals. How about if we use health? Since without excellent health, we cannot have a truly high quality life. Would that be okay with you guys? All right, let's use health. What's one of the most common things people do for good health and fitness today? Anybody? Anybody? Yeah, exercise. Let's use exercise as an illustration this morning. Now, I'm sure that you guys are young and strong and healthy, and you're vibrant and energetic, and you want to do things. You want to be in action, okay? So, but let's use fitness as an example as to whether or not you want to make it part of your long-term goal, one of your action steps, to be healthy for your entire lifetime. Now, notice I'm talking about entire lifetime. So we're not talking about fitness and training just while you're young, are we? Talking about perhaps even when you're ancient at maybe 40. All right, let's give it a shot here. Oh, no, wait. We're talking about fitness or some type of exercise program that we can get on. Now, here's the decision. You can make it today, and you can work with it the rest of your life. You can make the decision. Question is, will you make the commitment for fitness for life? So that's the thought. Now, in your head, you're having some conversation. Those little words are going on in your head. Well, Mr. Tocco, that means I got to figure out how I can fit it in my schedule. That means I got to find some kind of fitness program that I can do. Maybe I could jog, or maybe I could do military exercises. That's push-ups, sit-ups. Maybe I could join a health club. Hey, maybe I could join Vic Tanny's. I can see they go home this afternoon and say, Ma, I've decided to join Vic Tanny's. It's only $700 a year. What do you say? Okay, so you have these little, now, or maybe you could plan on joining some of the athletic teams. Maybe soccer, which is good exercise, running exercise, maybe track, football, basketball. All those are very good training, aren't they? Gymnastics. But to do that makes, you have to take the commitment, right? You have to make a commitment. You have to stick with it. What are some things that could happen that would not be so good if you got involved in some kind of a training program? What do you think could happen that would not be good? Oh, that's good. Vic Tanny's can go out of business. There's lots of places you could join Golds after that. What do you think? Yes? You could faint, yeah, if you work too hard. Usually your body will tell you, though, if you're working out too hard. If you've run too far, too fast, too soon. without warming up. Your body, you get a little bit faint, so you rest. Yes. Sorry, think about it a second. Yes.
Like in football, if you break your leg.
Yeah. There's a possibility. There's a possibility if you make a commitment to a lifelong training, you could be injured. You could be injured. But you know what? You could be injured getting out of bed in the morning. Right? So that's not a very good deterrent. Yes.
You wouldn't have enough time to do other things you want to do?
That's right. It would infringe on your time. There'll be other things that would infringe upon. Yes. You'd be under pressure. That's right. Of course, life is filled with stress, isn't it? And the key is to make it all as much positive stress as possible. So fitness is something that's positive stress, isn't it? Sure.
Basketball, you could like
That's right. You could bang your hand on the rim, rebounding the ball. Now that's a problem Mr. Tocco used to have when he played basketball. I was always banging my hands on the rim, banging my head. No, actually, I could touch the net. I'd demonstrate right now, but I'm afraid I might knock one of these tiles out. Okay. Now you see, so what we're doing here is we're looking for reasons, we're looking for rationale as to why we might not want to go into a fitness program for excellent health the rest of our life. Has anybody heard anything so convincing that they wouldn't want to have a fitness program? So convincing that you would not want to have one? I didn't either. So we go to the next step. The next step now is to take an action. And since it looked like we pretty much concur on the fact that it's a good idea, now we decide what exactly we want to do, when we're going to do it, how often, if we need training, if we need professional help and assistance, et cetera, et cetera. So you will then, once you go into action, if you do it for 30 days or more, it'll become a what? Everybody together? A habit. Will it be a good habit or a bad habit? A good habit. My young friends, when you're making an important decision and you get down to this point right here and you ask yourself, if this is going to be a habit, if this is going to be a good habit or a bad habit, if the answer is it's going to be a good habit, I highly encourage you to grab it and run with it. Grab it and run with it, make it a part of your life. Because then you will work toward building a more positive character, and the destiny of your life will be much more worthwhile. Wow. And we're going to talk about the importance of that training. Mr. Tocco decided 10, 14 years ago, and I'm going to tell you the story in a little bit of detail in a few minutes, but 14 years ago to begin an exercise program and to do it every day. And I'll be honest with you, I did miss the first year, I missed 3 days of exercise. But in the last 13 years, I've only missed 1 day. And that day was the day that we buried my grandmother. God rest her soul. She was a wonderful lady. And I took that day off to honor her. So you see, whatever commitment you make to fitness or education or being a good person, it's not something we do part-time. It's something we do how often? Every day. Every day. The key is every day. Every day. My young friends, there are no grades in the real world. If there were, A would be for, in one great St. Hugo voice, it would be for, attitude. And if there were grades in the real world, B would be for, bettering yesterday's best. Yes, exactly. And that's the only, goals are the only way that we can improve upon today and yesterday, by working toward it and having targets to shoot for. There are no grades in the real world. If there were, E would be for, enthusiasm. What's the feeling? It's enthusiasm. E would be for enthusiasm. And that brings us to today's lesson. If there were grades in the real world, D would be for determination. Determination. Persistence. The feeling of, I want to keep on. Let's all say that. Keep on, keeping on. Well, that's not proper grammar. We know that, but for the sake of remembering, it's to keep on keeping on. Determination. Determination is another word for determination, and the word is persistence. Let's all say that. Persistence. Persistence. Persistence has a very, very special meaning because persistence is something that signifies we will keep trying. We will keep trying, and it'll help us get through the obstacles. Would you guys like to hear a story about one of the most persistent people who ever lived on the planet? Which is a true story. This fellow had an idea, and he so desperately wanted to bring this idea into reality that he began working. He was a scientist, an inventor. And he began working on his idea day in and day out and through the night, month in and month out. And he would experiment. And you know when you experiment, if you keep track of your experiment, you have all these formulas, and you see, if you write it down, you know what works and what doesn't work. After months and months, and actually years, he had tried and failed, so many times, it's almost unbelievable. How many times do you think he tried and failed? You don't know who he is yet, I know, but how many times do you think he tried and failed before he gave up?
3.
That's good. 3. 3 is about the average a person will try and then quit. But this person tried quite a few more times than that. Whoa, whoa, 2,000 times. Actually, he tried and failed more times than that. But let me tell you who he is, which might put a little light on the subject. It might put a light on the subject. Anybody know who it was?
I do.
Together, who was it? Well, that's really close, guys. It was Thomas Edison. They all said Thomas Jefferson. I was going to say that's very, very good. So what did Mr. Edison invent? Everybody together? Light bulb, the incandescent light. He tried, and he failed. He had a target. He wanted a light to go on. He didn't like reading at night by candlelight. Oil lantern, always had to keep supplying that oil in there, you know. He tried and failed. How many times do you think he tried and failed? More than 2,000. How many?
3,000?
3,000. Can you imagine trying? Can you imagine trying something 3,000 times? Anybody else?
Until you got it right.
Whoa! Yes, but I'm looking for. There's actually a number. There's actually a number. Anybody else want to guess? Yes. 3,500. Even more than that. Yes. 4,000. More than that. Yes. 5,000. More than that. Yes, more than 5,000 times. It's true. It's all documented. Yes. How many times do you think? Yeah. 6,000. More than that. All right, we're getting excited now. Can you imagine, can you imagine the next time you're doing something and you say, I can't do this? You got to remember this right here, don't you? Yes. 8,000. More than that. Yes. 10,000 is the number. Let's give him some appreciation. Whoa, that's right. Man, we're talking persistence. We're talking serious persistence. Oh, 10,000 times. Whew. Let's hope you don't run into a problem, a challenge, a goal that causes you to have to surpass Thomas Alva Edison 10,000 times. So what theory did he employ? He employed the Sir Winston Churchill theory. Never give up. Who was Sir Winston Churchill? Who was he? Anybody know?
Prime Minister of England.
Yes, he was. He was the Prime Minister of England back in the 40s. Now, Sir Winston Churchill is said to have been invited to be the commencement speaker at Eton University. Now, Eton was an Ivy League school. It was absolutely one of the great universities in the world. Now, someday you're going to be sitting in your graduation, caps and gowns. You'll be seniors. You'll be very excited. You'll be looking very dashing. And you'll be thinking back on your wonderful years in school at St. Hugo and wherever you go from here. And you'll have a commencement speaker. And who knows what he'll say, unless it happens to be me. Then you'll have some idea. But in the case of Sir Winston Churchill, he used to wear a top hat. He wore a black cape. He smoked a cigar. Bad habit, but he did. That's who he was. He had a bad leg. He used to use a crutch, actually a cane. And he was introduced and entered from stage left. And he worked his way to the podium. There was a chair for him to take off his hat, and he set his hat on the chair and laid his cape across the back of the chair, set his stogie down, leaned his cane against the chair, because he was the commencement speaker. And the students there at Eaton University were absolutely exhilarated. They were thrilled beyond imagination to hear one of the great orators who was living in the world at the time. And this is what he said at their commencement speech. He approached the microphone. And he stopped and he looked at every graduating student in the eyes. And he said, "Never give up." Never give up. Never give up. And left. And it was said to have been one of the greatest oratories, one of the greatest speeches ever given by Sir Winston Churchill. I'll tell you what, there have been a lot of people who have said a whole heck of a lot more, but very few people have said anything more important, or well, more succinct than that. My young friends, when you go into your futures, today, the rest of your life, and there is something important to you that you want to accomplish and achieve, never forget the words of Sir Winston Churchill. Never give up. That is the ultimate, that is the premier example of persistence. Persistence is the activity of keeping on, keeping on. Everybody together, it's keeping on, keeping on. Now, you see, you don't really understand what the significance of that is just yet, because you haven't been around long enough. But I'll tell you a fellow who did. I'll tell you a fellow who learned the significance of persistence or the lack of it. His name was R.U. Darby, and he was a prospector. And he went out to Colorado in 1849, and he began to mine for silver and gold. And he dug and he dug and he dug. He hit a claim. He staked a claim. He found some gold and some silver. He did. He went back out east. He got some investors, and he said, "Hey, I've staked a claim. There's gold in them thar hills. We're going to get rich. I need some money. I need some front-end money to buy some equipment so I can dig and we can put this ore in these containers and start shipping it and selling it." So he got investors, and they gave him money. And he went back out there, hit his equipment, he began to dig, dig, dig. And just about the time the investment broke even, the investors had their money back, and now it was time to make a profit, all of a sudden, the vein of gold, silver, ran dry. It ran dry. And the investors out east were really disappointed. And R.U. Darby himself was disappointed. But he quit digging. So what he did with that equipment that he had, he offered it for sale, and a junk man bought it. Well, the junk man was no ordinary junk man. He was a pretty smart guy. You know what he did? He got a hold of a geologist, and he said, "I'd like you to study this terrain. I'd like you to recommend what I should do." And the geologist came out. He perused the property. He reviewed the soil conditions, the various stones, rocks, etc. And he said, "Mr. Darby," not Mr. Darby, but the junk man, he said, "I highly recommend that you start digging once again, and I don't think you're going to have to dig very far, and you're going to find more ore." And so he did. He began to dig. And my young friends, he dug. He dug only 3 feet. That's this much. And hit what is known as, historically, the Comstock lode. Silver and gold, the most significant ore find in the history of America. The value of it today, the value of it in today's dollars, was $7 billion.
Whoa.
Now, how do you think R.U. Darby felt, who sold out to a junk man because he quit 3 feet before he hit his target, his goal? So when you're working on your home opportunity, when you're working on your fitness, when you're working towards something important, my young friends, ask yourself, how close am I to my target? Maybe if I read just one more chapter, one more page, maybe if I stay up and finish this paper. My teachers have asked me to do this home opportunity. Maybe this will make a difference. Maybe I'll get that A that I need, or that B. Or maybe I'll learn the thing that I need to learn that's going to be critical for my future. So, persistence, the activity keeping on, keeping on. There was a fella, how many here have heard of Chuck Norris? Yeah, I saw one of his old movies last night on TV. Yeah, Mr. Tocco doesn't watch much TV, a little bit, maybe an hour every week. Anyway, I was flipping the channels, and there he was. It's probably about 15, 20 years ago. We look a little bit alike back then. At any rate, there was a gentleman that I met. His name was Master Shankyu Shim, and he was a 9th degree instructor in karate, a 9th degree karate instructor, and he had his own schools, his own books. And we met and chatted one evening at a Halloween party. And after I found out who he was, well, he was the guy that trained Chuck Norris. Master Shankyu Shim trained Chuck Norris in the art of karate. So I asked Master Shim, I said, sir, can you tell me, what is the most important thing in life? And he said, without hesitation, he said, discipline. I said, how do you define discipline? He said, discipline is that which you do, I do every single day. I said, well, what do you do every day? He said, well, I train and I meditate. I train, work out, and meditate. And we talked about some other things, and I went home. It was at a Halloween party. And I went home, and for about a week I kept thinking about what he said. Here was one of the great teachers in the world in karate. A 9th degree, you know, you only get 10 degrees, and I don't know if there's even a handful of 10 degrees in the world living today. Anyway, his words kept ringing in my ears, and finally I said, discipline, something that I should be doing, something he does every day. And you know what? I couldn't think of a single thing that I was doing every single day. So I decided, after about a week, that I would try something every day. I said, you know what? If it's that good, and it's good for him, look what it did for him, look what it did for Chuck Norris, I can do this. So I decided that I would exercise every day and pray every day. And as I mentioned to you, as it relates to the exercise, how many days have I missed in 14 years? That's right. 4 days. 3 the first year, 1 day in the last 13 years. So when you make a commitment, when you become determined to do something, whether it's home opportunity, what are some of the things that, just think about it for a minute. Let's stop and think for just a minute. What are some of the things that you might be willing to do that would be good for you, that you want to do? Remember, it's your choice every single day. When you've got something that you think, and you've got a lot of time to think about this, my young friends, but when you've got something you think you might be willing to do every single day, raise your hand. It's a big one. I'm telling you guys, it's a big one. And I don't blame you if your hand doesn't go up. I don't blame you, because it might take a lot of thought. Now, it doesn't have to be anything really big that would be good for you and good for other people. What's one thing you could do every day that would be really simple if you said, I'm going to do this every single day? It's so simple. Let's see if anybody can guess. What's one thing you could do every single day that would be so simple and would make everybody happy that saw you? Everybody looked at you would... Yes? Yes, why not? Do you think you guys could do that? Do you think you could smile one time through the course of the day at somebody? Do you think you could do that? All right? So that's one thing you could do. I took the liberty to pick up a little poem from the office on Friday. May I read this to you guys? It's pretty short. It says here, "What have I done today? I shall do so much in the years to come, but what have I done today? I should give out gold and pricey sum, but what have I done today? I shall lift the heart and dry a tear. I shall plant hope in the place of fear. I shall speak with words of love and cheer, but what have I done today? I shall be so kind in the afterwhile, but what have I done today? I shall give to truth a grander birth, and to steadfast faith a deeper worth. I shall feed the hungering souls of the earth, but what have I done today?" That's something you can ask yourself. That's something we can ask ourselves. What have I done today? So I'd like you over the next week, if you don't mind, to add to your gratitude lists and add to your goals in those different areas, and try to come up with, if you will, for next week, please come up with a couple of 3 ideas that you might be willing to stick to every single day. You know, I noticed, guys, I did notice that you were extremely attentive today. You've been unbelievably attentive. Your attention span has been superior. There are many adults whose attention span is not as good as yours, and I compliment you on it. But what happens is when we sit, and you guys have all this energy, when we sit for a while, sometimes our energy level starts to dissipate a little bit. So to rekindle it, what do you say we do another thing that you could do? We could do one thing here that you could do every single day if you wanted to, and it's what Mr. Joe Girard did. What did he do every single day to make himself the greatest salesman? What did he do? He gave himself a pep talk. What do you say? Let's give ourselves the Girard pep talk. We do it? Here we go. Let's go. I feel good. I feel great. Look out, world. I'm coming out one more time. Now let's do it one more time. Let's see those hands. I want to see those hands up there. Let's get those hands. Get that number 1 up there. Here we go. I feel good. I feel great. Look out, world. I'm coming out one more time. Whew, man, I tell you. When you guys go out of here, whew, the world is not going to be safe, but it sure is going to be better. Daily efforts, my young friends. It's daily efforts that build the character. Mr. Tocco has a gift for you and a story to share with you about this little gift. And it really goes along very, very nicely with the statement of wisdom and staying away from alcohol, tobacco, and drugs. And today, what are we talking about? What's the subject matter today?
Perseverance.
Perseverance, persistence, determination. When I was 21, I wrote a poem, and I thought it was pretty doggone good. So I sent it to the American Cancer Society, and it was an anti-smoking poem. And they wrote a nice note back. They said, well, this is really good, but we can't use it because it's just too honest. It's just too hard-hitting for us to use. Well, some years went by, and I was sharing the poem with some friends of mine, and they got all excited, and they said, where did you get that? I said, well, I wrote that a long time ago. They said, that is so good. Why don't you go back to American Cancer and persist? Why they should be using that is part of their campaign to discourage smoking and to encourage people to quit. So what I did to enhance the poem, I went out and I got an Oscar-winning artist. His name was Ted Peacock, and he won an Oscar for the Crunch Bird. If you ever saw the Crunch Bird, you'd crack up. It was a cartoon that he did. At any rate, would you like me to recite the poem to you?
Yeah.
Okay. This is an anti-smoking poem. It goes like this. Pretend this is a cigarette. Filthy, nasty things that they are. And you see people holding them, you know, that smoke blowing in their eyes. They're trying to act cool. And then, you know, they go. You ever seen that? You know, they're trying to be cool. They got this smoke blowing in their eyes. Their eyes start to water. The breath stinks. Their fingers are yellow. Gosh only knows what it does long term, right? To the body. We know that eventually if you do enough of it, there's a good chance you get cancer. At any rate, This is called a cigarette talks. For me, you'd walk a mile to buy because I calm and satisfy. You carry me wherever you go in summer sun and winter snow. So, for your reward as a loyal friend, I'll watch you go right to the end. Yeah. Where is that cigarette at? Where's that rascal at? He's in a graveyard, standing over his buddy that he stuck by for that person's life while they gave themselves cancer. Anyway, you guys can take a copy of this home, and you can pin it up on a wall or on a refrigerator. And, you know, if your moms or dads happen to be smoking, you know, you can share it with them. Be nice to them now, because it is a terrible habit and it's very hard to quit. Very hard to quit. Very easy to start. Very difficult to give it up. Nicotine is one of the most addicting drugs known to man. It is even more addicting than the insidious cocaine. You guys are terrific. Now, my young friends, we're talking about persistence and not giving up. How many like to hear a joke? Guys, you're ready for a joke, aren't you? All right, let's see if we can set this up. Mr. Tocco has to use an illustration, a graphic. Let's see if we can do it with this. Uh-oh. Okay, we need some assistance here. Guys, one guy, one gal. Come on up here, honey. Sure. Just hold each side. Right here. Hold that side, hold this side. There you go. That's outstanding. Okay. All right, here's the deal now. When we're persisting in trying to achieve something, and you keep on keeping on, there also comes a time we have to evaluate our progress realistically. Remember last week Mr. Tocco talked about the little desert fox and how in the morning when he saw his shadow in the sun, he looked so huge, and he said, today I'd like to have a camel for lunch. You know, unfortunately he didn't run across a camel and finally because he was too small to eat a camel, wasn't he? But by noontime, when he saw his shadow and he saw how realistically the size he was, he decided to have a desert rat instead. See, so our sights have to be realistic. This is a story about some moose hunters. And these guys are really great hunters. This is a lake, by the way. This is up in Canada, North Country. God bless you. And these moose hunters wanted to fly into this small lake and hunt moose. So they called a Bush League pilot and they said, sir, we want to fly into this lake and hunt moose for a few days and have you fly us in. Because the only way to get in there was by plane. So the pilot looked at the map and the distance between here and here, and he said, this is a very small lake. I'm not sure that I could get you guys onto that lake safely. And they said to him, well, we flew in last year. Huh. Well, this pilot said, well, if somebody else flew you in, then I can fly you in. So they loaded up. And sure enough, they flew in, and they hit about right about here with the, you know, these planes with the pontoons on them that float. And they went over here and they docked at this little dock extending from the edge of the lake here. And there are trees up in here. Imagine, you know, you can just imagine. Notice that Mr. Tocco, that looks more like Chinese writing, doesn't it? Yeah. Well, I did not excel in art, my young friends. At any rate, so they landed right here. This plane flew in, and they landed. And the hunters said, okay, come back in 3 days and pick us up. 3 days later, the pilot flew back into this small lake, landed, and he got up over here, and he noticed on the dock there were two huge moose, and these two hunters and all their equipment. He got out of the plane, and they said, okay, let's load up. And the pilot said, load up what? They said, we need to load up these moose and the equipment. The pilot said, what? He said, you want me to put those two huge moose on the plane, you guys and all the equipment, and get out of here? And they said, we got off the lake last year. He said, well, if somebody else did it, I can do it. Well, they loaded up, right? And he got the plane, and he went all the way back down to this end here, down to the other end of the lake, and he started back here as far back as he could to get as much distance as he could possibly gain to get airspeed. And he throttled it. And boy, that engine was just groaning to beat the band, and you could hear the stress of the aluminum, and that plane was straining as it was trying to get off the lake, and they're edging closer and closer and closer to the dock. Suddenly, almost miraculously, the plane lifted off the lake, and they started to breathe a sigh of relief, except they were coming up very quickly on the dock, and the trees behind the dock and the hill. And the pilot was pulling back on the stick to get lift, and they were so close to getting over the dock and over those trees, but the pontoon caught the top of the tree and wham into the side of the hill up here. They crashed. Oh, I tell you, it was really not a pretty sight. The two moose hunters, the first one was unconscious and became conscious. He was bruised, the broken arm, and a little bit of blood here was nasty. And he hits his buddy Frank. He says, Frank, Frank. Frank wakes up, and he's got dirt all over himself, and there's moose hair everywhere. And the first one says, he says, Frank, he says, where are we? And Frank turns around, he looks, he says, about 50 yards ahead of last year. Where they crashed last year. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Give them some appreciation for holding their arms up all that time. Okay, guys. Now, well, you know how you like Mr. Tocco's jokes. What's the moral behind the joke? What's the moral behind it? What happened to these guys? They didn't give up, but what's the moral behind this? Was it a good idea when they crashed the year before to try the same thing again under the same circumstances? Absolutely not. So in our activity then of keeping on, we need to use our heads. We need to persist in the right ways. We need to persist in all of the good things we're learning. My young friends, the greatest power you possess is the power to, everybody together, it's the power to choose. Your number one ability is the ability to think. You want to choose and think about how to become a positive person. A positive person, because a positive person looks at life and says, I can, I want to, and I will. And he moves ahead and makes intelligent choices and good decisions and works on his goals, his objectives. You have been absolutely exemplary today. I am very, very proud of you. This week, as you do your home together, as you do your home opportunity, remember, persist, be tenacious, be determined to get it done right. Because if you do, you will achieve what the Greeks call, everybody together, which is to become
the best possible you compared to no one else.
That is absolutely right. And I know that right now you are all very much alert and very much alive. But I want to see who the most alert and the most alive are. And I'm going to divide this class in two. Right down this line right here. This line right here, raise your hands. Those of you on this line of flight, right, you raise your hand. There should be two hands in each aisle raised. All the way down to the back there. That's it. Two hands raised, one on each side of this line. Keep your hands up. All the way to the back. In the back, raise your hand. Way up high. Okay? Those of you from this side over, you are the alerts. Those of you from this side over, you are the alives. I want to hear you. I want to hear you say, I'm alert on this side. I'm alert. On this side, I'm alive. I'm alive.
I'm alert. I'm alive. I'm alert. I'm alive.
And the winner is both sides. Give yourself some appreciation. Whoa. Let's go out and have a great day and a great week. Woo! Outstanding. All right.